Hi, friend. What was that? Puberty has come for me. Hi, friends. Welcome. My name is Baron, and this is my channel where I talk about some book stuff. What is going on? I'm the book Baron. Welcome in. Oh my goodness. I'm having a time. So you might notice I'm looking a little bit different than my thumbnail. That's because I've already tried to film this video. Promptly got a really severe headache after I took all of the thumbnails and did the intro. This is like a known issue for me, so it's nothing to be alarmed about, but it's just mostly a like, oh, we gotta work around, and I'm really hoping I don't get another one. Hence the really beautiful glasses that are hopefully gonna keep this headache at bay, but I can feel it. Also, I got a haircut. That's also contributing to the difference in appearance. But that's not what you care about. You care about books. And today I wanted to have a little laugh at my expense. I don't know what it is about books on my TBR, but I mix up books all the time. I don't know. I seriously don't know why. My memory just seems to fail when it comes to books. I have such a good memory with like everything else. I'm usually the one that like in a conversation when we're talking about an event that remembers all these weird details that everyone else seems to have forgotten about. I'm the person that usually remembers the other guy's name. I like, for whatever reason, I have a really good memory generally. But then it comes to my TBR books and suddenly out the window. So this is just a fun way for me to talk about some books that are on my TBR, but also let you laugh at me. And I'm gonna laugh at me too, because some of these books are nothing alike, and I don't know why I mix them up. Without further ado, let's just get into things. So the first set of books that I always mix up, and I can't figure out why, Three Simple Rules by Nikki Sloan, and One is a Promise by Pam Godwin. Let's start with Three Simple Rules. This is about a heroine that's like trying to pursue her dream job, and she needs a little cash in order to make that happen. So she ends up selling herself at an illegal blindfold club to make a quick buck, but when the blindfold comes off, she goes, you know what? I would really like this night to continue. I would like to continue seeing you. But there are Three Simple Rules, correct. Okay, so that's what that one is. I think it's a little bit more of the like BDSM spicy club type of book. The other book that I mix it up with, What is a Promise? This is, I don't think in any way similar. Basically, the heroine is with this kind of like rebellious, rough and tumble type of guy, and he ends up getting a job overseas, promises to come back, but you know, he doesn't. So she ends up moving on to a clean cut guy that's helping her out. I think she owns a dance studio, and he's kind of helping her business to survive. He knows that she still loves the guy that left her, but he's slowly winning her over. But it sounds like the guy from overseas, the former love interest, shows back up, and now she's got to pick between the two. So I think the reason that I kind of mix these up is these are both authors that I know and love. I like a lot from their backlist. The thing of it is, though, these are both much older. Not that they're ancient, but just like they're older. They're from further down to their backlist. These aren't the types of books either of these authors really publish anymore. I think what trips me up is both of these have either love triangle menage or something along those lines in both of these books. I think, do not quote me on that. We already know we're here about my memory issues, but I think that's why I mix them up, is because this one I believe is menage and this one I believe is love triangle. But that's my understanding of these books. I think too, there's a little bit of similarities with the cover. They're kind of monochromatic, just focusing on the body, not getting faces in there. Kind of classic for the time that they were published. That's kind of why I'm thinking I mix those two up, because honestly, not even remotely close. Now, speaking of three ways, gross, I don't like that I said that. Let's move on. There are three books that I mix up in this next grouping. So the first book is Music, Lights, and Never Afters by C.L. Matthews. Then we have Rhythm, Chords, and Malakin by Mariana Zapata. And then we have Let There Be Light by A.M. Johnson. Ignore the sticker. You don't see her. These books, I once again don't understand. I don't know why I mix these books up, truly. Let's start out. So Music, Lights, and Never Afters by C.L. Matthews. I think it's actually the main character is the hero. His parents are very famous musicians, but he ends up tragically losing them, and he pushes everyone away as a result. But he pushes away someone that he kind of thought would see through what he was trying to do and would still embrace him, still be around. But then she introduces him to her fiance, and he goes, oh no, we've got a massive problem. So there's that one. Next up, Rhythm, Chords, and Malachi by Mariana Zapata. Basically, Gabby is the brother.
Oh, good grief. I definitely meant sister, not brother.
to someone in a very famous band. He asks her to come along as their like merchandise girl because she doesn't really have any job prospects. She just broke up with her ex-boyfriend. He's kind of like, you're unattached. You have like no reason not to. So she's on the road with 8 different musicians that she doesn't know at all. And then also her brother. She starts falling for the lead singer of the headline band. So there is that. And then there is Let There Be Light by A.M. Johnson. This is, I think, probably the most different out of all of those. This is a new adult book where a really driven swimmer who's really dead set on keeping his scholarship and maintaining his grades and all of that ends up falling for a music major who's very talented and ambitious in his own way. They end up kind of meeting accidentally, it sounds like, and they just immediately have an attraction. So this one's more like new adult, opposites attract type of a book. It's like they're all music based, right? Got that as a baseline. I think part of the reason that I mix up this book and the Mariana Zapata book is the covers kind of remind me a little bit of each other because they've got the kind of similar color palettes. The titles, for whatever reason, for Music Lights and Never After and Rhythm, Chords, and Malachim, to me, because it's 3 words, those two just kind of blend together for me title-wise. I think that's really the only reason I mix those two up. And then I think what contributes to me mixing up this one with the Music Lights and Never After is we do have the name of the author being like initial, last name. I know that that's like really weak, but honestly, you would be amazed at how many authors' names I mix up. So I think that's why I mix all those books up. But to me, they are one singular book in my mind. All right, next up, we have a new adult batch. We have Lords of Pain, and this is by Angela Lawson and Samantha Rue, and Wicked Night by Tracy Lorraine. Let's start off with Lords of Pain. So the heroine has a little bit of a secret, a little bit of a past, and she shares that secret with a few other people, specifically 3 other people, 3 dudes. Something ends up happening with her stepbrother and his friends, and that leads to her fleeing. She needs to get away. She doesn't want to deal with it. And she's like, I'm never coming back. But years later, it's all gonna come back. She's forced to confront it because they're all going to university together. So she ends up finding herself in need of some protection. There's some danger lurking around for her, so she needs some protection. So she's like, the devil you know, or the devils you know, or the devil I don't. So she's like, you know what? I need protection. You know how I'm going to do that? Become their lady, because I at least know these guys. But this puts her in a kind of precarious situation because she's now been at their mercy. So this one's like, why choose new adult, dark? I'm assuming there's a secret society component because of the lady element. That's that. So the other one is Wicked Night by Tracy Lorraine. It's a little bit different. This is high school. So the hero of this book is on the quest for vengeance because of something that happened to his family. But he can't quite go about it in the way that he was hoping to. But don't worry, fate's on his side. He ends up running into a gal in a graveyard. They have a wild encounter, and it puts revenge right at his doorstep, and she has no idea that she is going to become an integral part of his plan. So these are both more new adult. This one's high school, this one's college, but both new adult, both on the darker side. But this one's what I choose and this one is not. I also think this one's bully. Maybe this one is too. I don't know. I think honestly what makes me mix them up more so than the plots or like the tropes themselves is the covers. The covers are very similar. It's an intimate couple embracing. They've got like the little series logos. Even the text and its color looks really similar. So I feel like honestly out of the ones that I've talked about so far, these ones honestly seem the most similar, like out of everything, even with the like why choose versus MF relationship status going on here. Now these two, I'm pretty sure there's actually more books that I'm mixing up. I didn't realize how many books I mix up that have kind of a similar-ish cover or similar concept until I read a sports romance thinking it was a mafia romance. Yeah, I did that. I did that last month. This is the book. I know, it's embarrassing. But anyway, here's 2 more that I also mixed up. And these are like kind of similar-ish on like the premises a little bit. I'll explain like where my brain's kind of making that connection. First up, we have The Reluctant Bride by Monica Murphy and Tell Me to Stop by Charlotte Bird. Let's start with The Reluctant Bride. The heroine's from a wealthy family, and she's kind of been like the overlooked daughter. Like, no one's paying her like that much of attention. She's like not that important, apparently. But she needs to enter into an arranged marriage to benefit the family. So she ends up having to marry a hero who is this person that seems very charismatic and engaging in public and is an absolute ice block and seems very dark in private. But good news, our girl is too. So they sort of have a battle of wills that exists behind the scenes. But obviously, you know, even though it's arrangement, we're gonna turn it into something a little bit different. So Tell Me to Stop by Charlotte Bird. Let's talk about this one now. So the heroine is indebted in a way that money can't really satisfy. So I don't know what sort of mess she got herself into, but she's in a sticky situation. She ends up kind of just offering herself up for the year in order to try and settle this debt. So she finds herself bound to this very mysterious man, and he's got a lot of demands that she needs to meet. But weirdly, the one he really wants to stick to is they're not sharing a bed. And it sort of becomes, once again, a battle of wills. Okay, so I know I said it's mostly the cover that I mix these two up, but I think because there is this component of a contractual relationship and a battle of wills, and the covers are similar, I think that's why I mixed these two up in particular. But to be honest, I know if I dug a little bit further on my TBR, I'd find another mafia story that I could include with this, and the sports romance that I just recently read. I'm pretty sure there's like a soup of this type of book, but these two, honestly, from the synopsis, are the most similar. All right, now we've got our last set. This one is The Sinner and the Sparrow. So let's start with The Sinner by Emma Scott. Our heroine kind of has a plain life, nothing to write home about, nothing too exciting, until she comes across a dead body that it turns out isn't so dead. And this is what causes her to learn that what she believes to be reality maybe isn't all it. Maybe there are some supernatural beings that are afoot in her world, and she ends up being drawn to this darkness. I am going to assume that our hero is one such creature, especially given this cover. All right, now in a wild departure from what we just talked about, seems very in line with cover, Sparrow by LJ Shen. So this one is more of an arranged marriage type of situation. So our heroine ends up married to a man that's got a little bit of a dangerous reputation. She ends up finding herself in some very constrained circumstances. Her husband, she doesn't know why he picked her, but he is stripping away everything that she holds dear. All of her freedoms, all of her dreams, all of her interests gone. Kind of classic LJ Shen, to be honest. And basically it's about them sussing through this. So, not at all the same. Supernatural, new adult. I think this has a mafia component with an arranged marriage. In no way similar, but I think based on the covers, you can understand why I mix these two up. We have the single S word titles. We've also got the kind of color palette being very similar. Generally, the wings are dark, they're feathered, there's a little hint of warm colors, and then kind of like a generally like a bluish background. So I think it makes sense why I mix these two books up. But based on the plots, it's a little bit embarrassing. They're not at all similar. So I don't know what that says about me and just like seeing the covers, or if that says something about inconsistencies with design. I don't know. Food for thought. So the sun is coming out to play, and so is my headache. So I'm gonna wrap this bad boy up. So hopefully you had a good laugh at my expense about how many books that I mix up. Honestly, the list is much longer. I limited it to like 10-ish books because I was like, I don't wanna let them know like how dumb I am. But if you like this style of video, let me know, because I can do this a couple times over, and then you can see more about how silly my brain is, which is always fun. I also tend to do this with authors, so if you want to see a version like that, let me know too. But I would love to hear from you if you mix up any books, which books they are. Is it because of the cover? Is it the author names? Like, what causes you to mix books up? Do you mix up books that you've already read? I would love to hear any and all of those things, and hopefully you had a little giggle. But don't forget to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want more content from me, and I really, really hope that I see you on my next video. Bye-bye!